Wow, that's a nice thought. Thank you. I'll cherish that thought. But I think what it would be is to think maybe 2 to 3 years out, to think about where is the news industry taking us? Where's the technology taking the news industry? And what is the consumer experience that people want in 2 to 3 years' time? And then to be able to build that. And my thesis is it'll look something more similar to a Spotify type interface. And that'll embrace audio as well as text, as well as video. That'll be highly collaborative. It'll tilt towards engaging people in different ways in the news that we produce, and with a very, very strong interaction between content producers and consumers. So there's a great feedback loop. So I think it could be to create some sort of Spotify type interface for news that would be beneficial for the news industry, but more importantly, that is intuitive for a modern news consumer.
Well, I guess some things should not change. Good news, quality news, good newsrooms, even bigger newsrooms than today. I would be super happy to have more journalists, not less, but more. You can see sometimes that I think the New York Times or the Washington Post, they have hired new journalists, new forces, because content quality, journalism quality is the basics of the game. You're not going to be able to sell something which will be, degraded or not as good as before. So content's quality. And then, yes, I see we will have a better handling of all the ways to access the audience on the telephones, on the tablets, new devices, podcasts. I don't know. I cannot exactly describe what we will have in 10 years. We will have more of the same and new devices probably. But again, if you have quality contents and a good technology IT basis to work on addressing this content to the right audience, this is the place where we want to be in 10 years.
It's going to be complicated because, the news ecosystem in the future will be much more fragmented. In each country, Germany, France, United States, UK and stuff, you will still have very solid brands, news brand of great quality, newspaper or former newspaper or radios, TV and stuff, which are going to provide good journalism. The rest will be much more fragmented with a huge number of newsletters and stuff. And I'm not sure where it's going to lead. My concern is that the vast majority of the people will still be informed with social media, which will lead to a very poor quality of information. And my concern that the notion of informed citizen, having people who, when they go to the voting booth, have a sufficient amount of information across all the spectrum to make informed choice. I think this segment will shrink and the number of people will be defined as informed citizen might be quite small in the near future. That is my concern.
I think news media is going to develop in a lot of different ways in different directions. I don't think there is going to be a single business model. I think there will be far more, the balance between audiovisual and written will obviously change in favor of far more audiovisual stuff than written, although I don't think written will disappear. I don't think print will disappear either.
No.
Books and magazines are doing perfectly fine in a lot of ways in a lot of cultures. So that's not going to disappear. It's very rare that media entirely replace the old one. They just simply sit on top of the existing ones usually. That's been the historical pattern, and I think it will continue to be. I think business models will fragment and change. There will, of course, be much more use of artificial intelligence. The first move in artificial intelligence is to use it for information which has been done manually up till now. Two good examples are sports results and business and financial information. And you already see AI being used a great deal for that. I think the key to using AI, however, is to use it intelligently as a combination between what you can automate and what you shouldn't automate and what should be down to down to human judgment, because a lot of journalism requires fine judgment. Is a source telling the truth? Is this fact to be apparently a fact? Is it to be relied on, and so on? Ultimately, these things are matters of judgment, but there are lots of things which you can automate that we haven't even thought about automating at this stage. The difficulty is finding ways of monetizing content. There's no problem about the generation of ideas, and there's basically not really a problem about the demand for news. The problem is finding good ways to monetize it, and that is a continuing struggle. But one big trend of recent years, which I expect to continue, is that people are using more subscription charging to raise money from their readers for what they're doing. What a lot of publications in the world don't understand is that you have to adapt every part of your company to doing that. It's not just a different way of receiving money. It actually changes newsrooms from being kind of industrial output organizations into service companies or service organizations. And that's a big change of organization and psychology in media companies.
Absolutely. there is no doubt. So I think that the future of news media depends quite a lot on the way they deal with the threats and the opportunities that exist today. So this will shape the future of news media. The biggest threat that I see now, and this is not only a threat for news media, but a threat to science, and a threat to democratic societies, it is the problem of fake news. And this problem is huge, and I think it will be even bigger in the future, because there are organizations and governments that will try to keeping on manipulating facts, you know? So, and the technological development will make the manipulation even easier, and it will get more and more difficult to discern fakes from facts. And we see this happening not only in countries like Russia, Turkey, or China, but also in Western societies like USA or even Hungary in Europe. So I think this is a big threat. Another threat that I see is when media organizations fail to monetize themselves, they will be easier to manipulate by organizations that give them subsidies. So they will not have the neutrality in reporting. But I do see a lot of opportunities, and actually I'm a big believer in quality journalism and in trusted sources, and I believe that publishers really have to get the direct contact to their audiences like they had it before, and not focus on Google or Facebook, because these are not their audiences on Facebook or Google. So this is like working, like building your house on a rented ground. Yeah. So I think they should go with their own competence, and I think they should invest in good technologies. I'm a big believer in an intelligent use of artificial intelligence and new technologies, so that the people in the news media organization can concentrate on their core competence, and this is quality news for a democratic society.